please.
During our interview, Rebecca said she was attacked while she put Emmanuel on the back seat of their pickup truck to change his diaper. When I asked about the injury to her face, she said she was punched.
I can't help but notice that you have an eye. Yes, he hurt me. He punched me.
A 7-month-old baby vanishes from a California parking lot. His mother's tearful plea for his return moves thousands to join the search. But 8 days later, when police arrested both parents for murder, the horrifying truth emerged. There was no kidnapping. There were no masked attackers. And little Emmanuel Haro had been dead long before his mother ever called 911. How did investigators crack this elaborate deception? And what evidence finally exposed the parents who fooled an entire nation? Subscribe to Crime Chronicle, because this case will make you question every missing child story you've ever believed. August 14th, 2025. Rebecca Haro bursts into the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Station with a story that would launch one of California's most intensive missing child investigations. Her baby Emmanuel had been snatched from the Big 5 sporting goods parking lot in Yucaipa. The details were chilling yet vague. Unknown attackers. A brutal assault that left her unconscious. When she awakened, her 7-month-old son was gone. No witnesses, no security footage, no description of suspects or vehicles. Within hours, the story exploded across social media. The FBI joined local authorities. Hundreds of volunteers mobilized to search the harsh desert terrain surrounding Cabazon, where the family lived. But what nobody realized was that they were searching for a child who was already beyond help. 3 days into the search, Jake and Rebecca Haro faced the cameras. Rebecca's emotional breakdown as she begged for Emmanuel's return seemed genuine. Her husband stood supportive, adding his own desperate pleas to whoever had taken their son. The community's response was overwhelming. Candlelight vigils, search parties combing miles of desert, social media campaigns sharing Emmanuel's photo. A small desert town united in hope that this innocent child would come home alive. But investigators noticed something immediately troubling. They couldn't issue an Amber Alert. The most basic requirements were missing: suspect descriptions, vehicle information, witness accounts. How does a baby disappear in broad daylight with absolutely no evidence? Even more suspicious, despite the busy shopping center location, there was allegedly no security footage of the kidnapping. In 2025, when cameras capture everything, how does the most important crime scene have no visual record? The answer would soon become clear. You can't film something that never happened. While the community searched desperately for Emmanuel, investigators were quietly dissecting Rebecca's account. Her second interview revealed the first major inconsistency that would unravel everything. Security footage from August 3rd, 11 days before the alleged attack, showed Rebecca with a bruised and blackened eye. When detectives confronted her with this evidence, asking how she sustained injuries from an attack that hadn't happened yet, her cooperation ended immediately. But investigators had another powerful tool: electronic evidence. Cell phone records, GPS data, digital footprints that would tell the real story of August 14th. What they discovered would completely contradict Rebecca's parking lot abduction narrative. Authorities seized Jake's vehicle for forensic processing. What were they expecting to find inside that car? And why were they treating the father's vehicle as evidence in his own son's kidnapping? Then investigators uncovered Jake's criminal history, a 2023 conviction for willful child cruelty. This wasn't his first encounter with authorities over the treatment of children. The pieces of a much darker puzzle were falling into place. The electronic evidence that investigators had been analyzing revealed a devastating truth. Phone records, location data, and digital communications painted a timeline completely at odds with the kidnapping story. According to law enforcement sources, this digital evidence didn't just contradict Rebecca's account. It allegedly proved the entire kidnapping was fabricated. The parking lot story wasn't a memory gap or trauma response. It was, investigators believe, a calculated deception, Multiple searches of the family home in Cabazon yielded additional evidence that investigators say supports their theory that Emmanuel died before August 14th. The question was no longer where the baby had been taken, but what had happened to him in his own home. A reported sighting in Central California briefly raised hopes, but when investigators followed up, the lead evaporated. The harsh reality was becoming clear. There would be no rescue, no reunion, no miracle ending. By August 22nd, investigators had enough evidence to act. But what they were about to charge Jake and Rebecca Haro with would shock everyone who had prayed for Emmanuel's safe return. Friday morning, August 22nd. The sheriff's homicide detail surrounded the Cabazon home where the community had rallied around the grieving parents. But Jake and Rebecca Haro were no longer being treated as victims. They were suspects in their own son's death. Both parents were arrested on suspicion of murder. Not kidnapping, not child endangerment. Murder. The baby they claimed had been stolen by strangers had allegedly been killed by the very people who should have protected him most. The same neighbors who had organized search parties now gathered for a very different purpose. A candlelight vigil not for a missing child, but to mourn a baby they now believed was dead. As Jake and Rebecca Haro faced their first court appearances, the full scope of the alleged deception became clear. For 8 days, they had allowed hundreds of people to search for a child they allegedly knew was never coming home. But one crucial piece remained missing: Emmanuel himself. Without recovering the baby's remains, prosecutors would face challenges building their case. Even with both parents behind bars, the search for Emmanuel Haro continues. Investigators believe the electronic evidence that exposed the kidnapping hoax may also contain clues to the baby's location. Cell tower pings, vehicle movements, digital breadcrumbs that could lead authorities to where Emmanuel was taken after his death. Every digital interaction during those crucial days is being analyzed for evidence. Both defendants have secured legal representation, but their attorneys face an uphill battle against what prosecutors describe as overwhelming electronic evidence of premeditation. The Cabazon community, once united in hope, now struggles with the realization that they were manipulated into searching for a child whose parents allegedly knew the truth all along. The question haunting everyone: if Emmanuel was alive when his parents first appeared on television, could quick action have saved him? 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro never had the chance to take his first steps, speak his first words, or experience the love he deserved. Instead, investigators believe he became the victim of the two people who should have cherished him most. This case proves that sometimes the most convincing performances hide the darkest truths. If you want updates on Emmanuel's case and other investigations that expose family secrets, subscribe to Crime Chronicle and ring that notification bell. What evidence do you think finally convinced police that the kidnapping was staged? Share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, justice for Emmanuel depends on finding the truth his parents allegedly try to hide. Thank you for watching Crime Chronicle. The search for answers continues.